Welcome to Psalms Layer by Layer, a project of Cambridge Digital Bible Research. I'm Elizabeth. This video is our at-a-glance for Psalm 5. The purpose of this at-a-glance, or synthesis, is to capture the inner logic of the psalm. It's our starting place for understanding a psalm. We have titled Psalm 5, Hear My Case. This psalm is a court case against the wicked, seeking a guilty verdict for the evildoers and relief for the righteous. When justice is served, the righteous rejoice. The superscription says this psalm is for the director, that is, the musical director. This indicates the psalm is intended for temple use and is appropriate at a national scale, not simply a personal scale. Justice mattered for the sake of the nation. The court case opens with an appeal. Listen, Lord, my King and my God. I'm struggling, indeed desperate, and I need you to pay attention. This address to God as both a judge and a king may seem a bit confusing, as if the psalmist is confusing different roles. This leads to important background ideas. First, in ancient Israel, the king was also the judge who decided cases. Second, the Lord was the ultimate king of Israel. The human king was not the final authority. When a case was too difficult for him, or when he had a case of his own, he was to pass it on to the yet higher judge of the yet higher court, the heavenly court. This psalm is his appeal to a higher court to hear his own case. David begins his case with precedent, what he knows to be true about God, demonstrated throughout history, which will determine the outcome of the case. God does not tolerate evildoers. Addressed to God, evildoers cannot dwell with you. This section has its own internal structure, starting with a formal opening of the case. David begins, Lord, in the morning you give me a hearing. The morning is when I prepare cases for you and wait with anticipation. This is distinctly legal language. How did we get here? The literal Hebrew, as represented in our close but clear translation, is, in the morning you hear my voice, and in the morning I arrange for you and wait. The English, I arrange for you, makes no sense, indicating that the Hebrew expects something to be implied. See our argument on the website for all the reasons we understand the implied object as cases, meaning legal cases. The structure of the psalm as a whole, as a legal case, then influences the rendering, give me a hearing. Many cultures today use balanced scales as a symbol of justice, but in the ancient world, it was actually the rising of the morning sun that symbolized justice. People would bring their cases before the king in the morning. To refer to the morning is thus to refer to the set time for legal cases. David knows the requirements, and he's fulfilling them, all that he can. He wants to win this case. Verses 5 to 7 in the precedent describe those who are not permitted in God's presence, whereas verse 8 will describe the one who is. The description is presented as a direct address to the judge. You are not the kind of God who likes wickedness. Evil cannot come and stay with you. No proud and boastful people, no evil, no liars, none who sheds blood and deceives others. This discussion of whom God permits to dwell with him has many striking similarities with Deuteronomy 19 concerning false witnesses. Deception, lies, evil, and murder are all connected in this passage. The similarities will go stronger as we progress through the psalm. In contrast to the evildoers who cannot come and stay with God, David is able to go to your house and bow down toward your holy temple. The temple is not only a place of worship, but also God's law court, where the case will be decided. Because God is loyal to David, David is permitted to enter God's house, both to worship and to present his own cases. The legal understanding of God's house takes us back to Deuteronomy again. In the case of a malicious witness, those involved in the dispute must stand in the presence of the Lord. This is the legal reason for wanting to enter God's house, to receive justice. Putting this all together, David is currently not able to go to God's house, and we can infer it means he has been forced into exile. The exile seems to be the result of deceitful enemies who have rebelled against him. In exile, he's unable to bring his legal case fully properly to God's house, but he does what he can. He presents it at the right time for legal cases, in the morning, and in the right format. His goal with this legal case is to be able to once again return to the temple, to once again be in God's presence for both worship and justice. Having laid out the precedent, we turn to the facts of the case itself and David's petition for justice. The first element of justice is ensuring safe passage for David himself back to the temple. This journey imagery is one of many links back to Psalm 1, which spoke so strongly of not letting the wicked be acquitted. A key element in justice is protecting those who are leveling charges against the wicked. The theme of protection will grow. This need for a safe journey is part of ancient Near Eastern hospitality, which ties this verse 9 closely to verse 8, in which David longed to return to God's house. The Lord, as host over his house, would be obligated to keep his guests safe. The first petition is that God fulfill his obligations toward his guest, bringing him safely to his house. We now come to 2 quatrains, poetic units with 4 lines each. These 2 units are the heart of the psalm. First, David accuses the enemies. They cannot be trusted. They harbor destructive intentions. They use words to kill and destroy. They're deceptive. Nowhere in the psalm is the figurative language as dense as here in verse 10. The central issue is that nothing from his enemies can be trusted. Their mouth, their inward parts deep down, their words and their talk are all organs of thought or speech that are utterly corrupt. The result is lies and accusations that kill and destroy. Everything refers to words and thoughts. This is not a military battle, but an issue of loyalty. David is accusing his enemies of not being loyal, which shows that these must not be military enemies, but people within his own kingdom who should be loyal. These are rebellious people who are seeking to destroy the one whom they should have been honoring. The second quatrain is the verdict and sentence. Guilty. The sentence is a request that their plots cause their own downfall. The sentence comes right out of Deuteronomy 19. Do to the false witness as that witness intended to do to the other party. The danger is so great, the magnitude of the evil so significant, that no pity must be shown to such a person. Again, this differs strikingly from military battles, whereby heroism and might can bring about the downfall of enemies. In the case of false witnesses, it is the Lord's orchestrating events such that the enemies fall by their own designs. When justice is served, the people rejoice. This is the end goal of justice, that, once the wicked are purged, the land and its people can rejoice. Wickedness is an ever-present threat from which the people need protection. This section both begins and ends with a triplet referring to God's protection, with David's need for safe journey to God's house, and the joyful who take refuge in God as he gives them shelter. These images depict both the ongoing threat as well as the ongoing protection that the Lord provides. The image of sheltering also communicates David's own vindication. If he can call God his refuge, and God is protecting him, it means the false witnesses have not been believed. David has won his case. In Psalm 1, justice began with ensuring the wicked are not acquitted. Here in Psalm 5, the last step is rejoicing in justice being properly served. With justice now poetically executed, what next? We have the resolution to the case, reflecting on how the precedent and petition were related. This final verse summarizes and encapsulates the entire situation. You, God, are the kind of God who blesses the righteous, not the kind of God who blesses the wicked. That's the precedent. God blesses the righteous, not the wicked. Because the precedent still stands true, you surround the righteous with favor like a shield. You vindicated your own, and the petition succeeded. The imagery of God like a shield returns. It continues the theme of God's protection above, indicating that God's blessing lies in ongoing protection for the righteous one, because he will continue to encounter danger and opposition. God is not protecting him from the danger, but rather he protects him through the danger. Given that the danger in this psalm was destructive words, the blessing of favor would be protection through destructive words. God will continue to protect the righteous because they will continue to be in need of it. We now have the entire psalm. This is a court case, opening with an appeal to the high court, followed by the precedent, which lay the groundwork for the petition. Finally, the resolution confirms the outcome of the case. This is what justice looks like. The psalm indicates this structure in multiple ways, including the vocative Lord for each section, marking the separate elements of the legal case. Each of the two main middle sections uses the imagery of safe movement and dwelling to illustrate either the presence or absence of God's favor. Evildoers cannot dwell with him. They do not have his favor. I can enter his house. I have his favor. David pleads for a demonstration of God's favor in his own petition for a safe journey, and that the evildoers get the opposite, banishment. His own safe journey is paralleled by the need for shelter for all who love God. This is the inner logic of Psalm 5. It is a question of justice, a case for which David is appealing to the heavenly court. He knows God's character, that God is loyal to his covenant, and he lays that out as his precedent. Using the imagery of approaching God safely, he petitions for justice, vindicate the righteous, and declare the wicked guilty. His case was successful, as the resolution indicates, because he understood God. The precedent still stands. God's blessing is still on the righteous one, and he will continue to protect him. With this understanding in mind, we'll now read the psalm in its entirety. Listen to my words, Lord. Understand what I struggle to articulate. Pay attention to my desperate cry for help, my King and my God, because it's you to whom I pray. Lord, in the morning, you give me a hearing. The morning is when I prepare cases for you and wait with anticipation. For you are not the kind of God who likes wickedness. Evil cannot come and stay with you. Proud and boastful people cannot appear before you. You hate everyone who does evil. You put an end to liars. The Lord detests the person who sheds blood and deceives others. I, on the other hand, will be able to go to your house because you are so loyal. I will bow down towards your holy temple because I revere you. Lord, guide me because you are righteous. I need guidance because of my enemies. Give me a safe journey. For nothing that comes out of my enemy's mouth can be trusted. Deep down, they harbor destructive intentions. They use words to kill and destroy. Their smooth talk is deceptive. Hold them guilty, God. May their plots be the cause of their downfall. Banish them for all their crimes, because they have rebelled against you. Then let all who take refuge in you rejoice. Let their joyful shouts go on forever as you give them shelter. And let those who love you rejoice in you. Because your blessing is on the righteous one. Lord, you surround him with favor like a shield. This completes the Psalm at a glance for Psalm 5. All our videos are provided free thanks to donations. Visit www.cdbr.org to learn more. Thanks for watching.